Emma was a 35-year-old woman who had built her life around her passion for flowers. As the proud owner of a charming flower shop in the heart of the city, she poured her heart and soul into every bouquet she crafted. Her shop, Petals and Blooms, was not just a business. It was a reflection of her creativity and dedication. Each day, she greeted her customers with a warm smile, helping them choose the perfect arrangements for every occasion, from weddings to birthdays. Emma's life seemed picture perfect, but beneath the surface, her marriage to Jake was beginning to show cracks. Jake, a 38-year-old marketing executive, had always been supportive of Emma's dreams, or so she thought. Lately, however, he had been distant, often working late and coming home with excuses that never quite added up. Emma brushed off her concerns, convincing herself that he was just busy with work. One sunny afternoon, while arranging a stunning bouquet of roses and lilies for a wedding, Emma's phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it, expecting a message from a customer, but instead it was a text from Jake. Her heart raced as she opened the message, and the words hit her like a ton of bricks. "I'm leaving you. I've emptied our joint account and I'm moving to California with my new girlfriend. Good luck." Emma felt the world around her freeze. The vibrant colors of the flowers blurred as tears welled up in her eyes. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She was in shock, but she refused to let it show. As she helped Mrs. Thompson, a regular customer, pick out a bouquet, Emma's hands didn't shake, and her voice remained steady. The only sign of her inner turmoil was a slight tightening around her eyes. Once Mrs. Thompson left with her flowers wrapped in elegant paper, Emma took a moment to collect her thoughts. She typed a quick response to Jake, "Good luck." But inside, a storm was brewing. This was not just a betrayal, it was a wake-up call. Emma realized that she had to take control of her life and not let Jake's actions define her future. As she locked up the shop for the day, Emma reflected on the signs she had ignored. The late nights, the sudden changes in Jake's behavior, and the way he had started dressing differently, more stylishly, as if trying to impress someone. 3 months ago, she had found a receipt for a fancy dinner for two on a night he claimed to be working late. It all made sense now, and the anger began to bubble beneath her calm exterior. Determined not to be a victim, Emma made a plan. She had opened a separate bank account weeks ago, just in case. When Jake had suggested combining their finances to simplify things, she had agreed, all the while moving her personal savings to the new account. The joint account he had emptied contained just enough to keep him from getting suspicious about her actions. The rest was safely tucked away, along with detailed records of every suspicious transaction he had made over the past year. As she drove home that evening, Emma felt a sense of clarity wash over her. She would not let Jake's betrayal destroy her. Instead, she would use it as fuel to rise above the situation. The next day, she would call her lawyer and take the first step toward reclaiming her life. The next morning, Emma woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. She had spent the night tossing and turning, replaying Jake's message in her mind, but now, as the sun streamed through her bedroom window, she felt a fire igniting within her. She was determined to take action. After a quick breakfast, Emma headed to her flower shop, her sanctuary. The familiar scent of fresh blooms greeted her as she entered. She took a moment to breathe it all in, reminding herself of the joy her work brought her. But today was different. Today, she had a mission. As she arranged flowers for the day's orders, her mind raced with thoughts of what she needed to do. First on her list was to call her lawyer, someone she had consulted a few months back when she first noticed the signs of trouble in her marriage. She picked up her phone and dialed the number, her heart pounding in her chest. "Hello, this is Sarah," her lawyer answered, her voice calm and professional. "Hi, Sarah, it's Emma Harrison. I need to meet with you as soon as possible," Emma said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Of course, Emma. Is everything okay?" Sarah asked, sensing the urgency in Emma's tone. "No, it's not. Jake. He just texted me that he's leaving and emptied our joint account. I need your help," Emma replied, her voice trembling slightly. "Let's meet today. I'll help you through this," Sarah assured her. After hanging up, Emma felt a mix of relief and anxiety. She knew she had to prepare for the battle ahead. As the day went on, she kept herself busy, arranging flowers and serving customers, but her mind was focused on the upcoming meeting with her lawyer. Later that afternoon, Emma met with Sarah in her office. The walls were lined with bookshelves filled with legal texts, and the air was thick with the scent of coffee. Emma sat across from Sarah, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "Tell me everything," Sarah said, leaning forward. Emma recounted the events of the past few months. The late nights, the suspicious behavior, and finally the shocking text message. She explained how she had opened a separate bank account and had been keeping track of Jake's finances. "Good thinking on your part," Sarah said, nodding. "We can use that to our advantage. It's crucial that we document everything. Do you have any evidence of his spending or any suspicious transactions?" Emma nodded, pulling out her notebook filled with notes and receipts. "I've kept track of everything. I even have the receipt for that dinner he claimed was a work meeting." "Perfect. This will help us build a strong case," Sarah said, her eyes lighting up with determination. "We'll file for divorce and seek to protect your assets. You've done a great job preparing for this." As they discussed the next steps, Emma felt a sense of empowerment. She was no longer a victim. She was taking control of her life. The anger she felt toward Jake transformed into motivation to fight for what was rightfully hers. After the meeting, Emma returned to her shop, her mind racing with plans. She would not only protect her business, but also ensure that Jake faced the consequences of his actions. She spent the evening organizing her finances, gathering evidence, and preparing for the battle ahead. The next day, Emma received a text from Jake, filled with condescension. "I know this must be hard for you, but you'll be fine. At least you have your little flower shop to keep you busy." Emma felt a surge of anger but quickly reminded herself to stay focused. She took a screenshot of the message, adding it to her growing collection of evidence. Each text from Jake only fueled her determination to show him that she was stronger than he ever realized. As the days passed, Emma found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. Each morning she would wake up with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to tackle the challenges ahead. But as she worked in her flower shop, the reality of Jake's betrayal loomed over her like a dark cloud. She began to reflect on the signs she had overlooked, the little things that now seemed so glaringly obvious. One afternoon, while arranging a vibrant bouquet of sunflowers and daisies, Emma's mind drifted back to the past few months. She remembered the late nights Jake had spent at work, the way he would come home smelling of cologne that wasn't his usual scent. There were the times he had been evasive about his phone, quickly changing the subject whenever she asked about it. And then there was the sudden interest in fitness. Jake had started going to the gym regularly, buying new clothes that seemed out of character for him. Emma recalled the night she had found a receipt for an expensive restaurant. It was for 2 people, dated on a night when Jake had claimed he was working late. The memory stung, and she felt a wave of anger wash over her. How could he have been so cruel? Determined to confront the truth, Emma decided to dig deeper. She spent the next few days reviewing their bank statements and credit card transactions. As she pored over the numbers, her heart sank. There were multiple charges for hotels and restaurants that she had never been to, all occurring during the times Jake had claimed to be busy with work. One evening, after closing the shop, Emma sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by receipts and statements. She felt a mix of sadness and determination. This was not just about her marriage, it was about her future. She had worked too hard to build her business and her life to let Jake's actions destroy everything. The following day, Emma met with Sarah again to discuss her findings. As she laid out the evidence, Sarah's expression shifted from concern to determination. "This is exactly what we need to prove his deceit," she said, her voice steady. We can use these transactions to show a pattern of behavior that supports your case." Emma felt a surge of hope. She was not alone in this fight. With Sarah's guidance, she began to formulate a strategy. They would file for divorce and seek to protect her assets, ensuring that Jake could not take advantage of her hard work. As they wrapped up the meeting, Emma received another text from Jake. "I hope you're not still upset about the money. You'll get over it. Just focus on your little shop." Emma's heart raced with anger, but she took a deep breath. Instead of responding, she simply screenshot the message and added it to her evidence folder. Each condescending text from Jake only reinforced her resolve to show him that she was stronger than he ever imagined. That evening, Emma returned to her shop, her mind racing with thoughts of the upcoming divorce proceedings. She spent hours organizing her inventory, but her thoughts kept drifting back to Jake. She couldn't help but wonder how he could be so callous, so indifferent to the pain he was causing her. But as she arranged flowers, she reminded herself of her strength. She was not just a victim, she was a survivor. Emma poured her heart into her work, creating stunning arrangements that reflected her resilience. With each bouquet she crafted, she felt a little more empowered, a little more in control of her destiny. The days turned into weeks, and Emma found herself immersed in preparations for the divorce. Each morning she would wake up early, ready to tackle the day with a sense of purpose. She had transformed her anger and heartbreak into motivation, channeling her energy into both her flower shop and her legal battle against Jake. Emma spent countless hours at her shop, but she also dedicated time to meticulously organize her evidence. She created a detailed folder that included screenshots of Jake's texts, bank statements highlighting suspicious transactions, and receipts from restaurants and hotels that he had visited without her. Each piece of evidence was a reminder of the betrayal, but it also fueled her determination to fight back. One afternoon, while arranging a beautiful centerpiece for a wedding, Emma received a call from Sarah. "Emma, I have some updates regarding your case," Sarah said, her tone serious. "We're ready to file for divorce, and I want to make sure we have everything in order before we proceed." "Great! What do you need from me?" Emma asked, her heart racing with anticipation. "I need you to gather all the documentation you have, including the evidence of his spending and any correspondence that shows his intent to deceive," Sarah explained. "We want to present a strong case to the court." Emma nodded, feeling a sense of empowerment. She had been preparing for this moment, and she was ready to take the next step. "I'll have everything ready by the end of the week," she promised. As the week progressed, Emma worked tirelessly to compile her evidence. She spent late nights at the shop, often closing up after the last customer had left. The familiar scent of flowers surrounded her, providing a sense of comfort amidst the chaos of her emotions. Each arrangement she created was a testament to her resilience, a reminder that she was capable of overcoming this challenge. On the day of the filing, Emma met with Sarah at the law office. The atmosphere was tense, but Emma felt a sense of calm wash over her. She had done her homework, and she was prepared for whatever lay ahead. As they sat down to review the documents, Sarah looked at Emma with a reassuring smile. "You've done an incredible job gathering everything. This will strengthen your case significantly," Sarah said, her confidence evident. "We're ready to file for divorce and seek a fair settlement." Emma took a deep breath, feeling a mix of anxiety and relief. "I just want to make sure he can't take advantage of me," she replied, her voice steady. As they filed the paperwork, Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders. This was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one where she would reclaim her power and independence. She was no longer the woman who would sit back and let someone else dictate her future. Later that evening, Emma received a text from Jake. "I heard you filed for divorce. You're making a big mistake. You'll regret this," he wrote, his tone dripping with condescension. Emma's heart raced, but she refused to let his words affect her. Instead of responding, she took a screenshot and added it to her evidence folder. Each message from Jake only reinforced her resolve to show him that she was stronger than he ever realized. As the days turned into weeks, Emma continued to prepare for the upcoming court hearings. She focused on her shop, pouring her heart into her work while also mentally preparing for the battle ahead. She knew that the road would be challenging, but she was ready to face it head-on. The day of the court hearing arrived, and Emma felt a mix of nerves and determination as she stood outside the courthouse. The imposing building loomed before her, a symbol of the battle she was about to face. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of all the hard work she had put into preparing for this moment. This was not just about the divorce. It was about reclaiming her life and her independence. As she entered the courtroom, Emma's heart raced. She spotted Jake sitting at the opposite table, looking smug in his designer suit. He had always been good at putting on a facade, but Emma could see through it now. She was no longer the woman who would be intimidated by his charm or his words. Today, she was ready to fight for what was rightfully hers. The judge entered the room and everyone stood in respect. Emma took her seat, her hands resting on the table, fingers tapping nervously. Sarah, her lawyer, sat beside her, exuding confidence. "Just remember, Emma, we've prepared for this. Stick to the facts, and don't let him rattle you," she whispered. The hearing began, and the judge called the case. Sarah stood up first, presenting their evidence methodically. She laid out the timeline of events, highlighting Jake's suspicious behavior and the financial misconduct that had occurred. Emma watched as Sarah presented the screenshots of Jake's texts, the receipts, and the bank statements. Each piece of evidence painted a clear picture of betrayal and deceit. Jake's lawyer attempted to downplay the evidence, arguing that Emma was being vindictive and that Jake had simply made a mistake. "My client was under a lot of stress, and these actions were not meant to harm anyone," his lawyer argued, trying to shift the blame. Emma felt a surge of anger at the audacity of Jake's defense. She had spent weeks gathering evidence, and now he was trying to paint himself as the victim? She glanced at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly, urging her to stay focused. When it was Emma's turn to speak, she stood up, her heart pounding. "Your Honor, I have worked hard to build my life and my business. I trusted my husband, and he betrayed that trust in the most callous way possible," she began, her voice steady. "I have evidence that shows he has been deceitful, and I refuse to let him take advantage of my hard work." As she spoke, Emma felt a wave of empowerment wash over her. She was no longer the woman who would sit quietly and accept what was handed to her. She was fighting for her future, and she would not back down. The judge listened intently, reviewing the evidence presented. Emma could see the wheels turning in his mind as he considered the implications of Jake's actions. After both sides had presented their cases, the judge called for a brief recess. As Emma stepped outside the courtroom, she felt a mix of anxiety and hope. She had done everything she could, and now it was in the judge's hands. Sarah joined her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You did great, Emma. No matter what happens, you've shown incredible strength," she said. When the hearing resumed, the judge returned with his decision. "I find sufficient evidence of financial misconduct on the part of Mr. Harrison," he announced, his voice firm. "All shared assets are to be frozen pending the final dissolution of the marriage. Mr. Harrison is ordered to return any funds removed from joint accounts within 24 hours. Emma felt a rush of relief wash over her. The judge's ruling was a significant victory, and she knew it would send a clear message to Jake. He could no longer manipulate the situation to his advantage. As the hearing concluded, Emma walked out of the courthouse with her head held high. She had faced her fears and stood up for herself. The road ahead was still uncertain, but she felt empowered and ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. In the weeks following the court hearing, Emma found herself in a whirlwind of emotions. The initial relief of the judge's ruling had given way to a sense of determination. She was ready to move forward, to reclaim her life and her business. The flower shop, once a place of joy, had become her sanctuary, a space where she could channel her energy and creativity. Emma threw herself into her work, focusing on expanding petals and blooms. She began to implement new ideas, introducing unique floral arrangements and hosting workshops for aspiring florists. The community responded positively, and her shop quickly became a local favorite. Customers would come in not just for flowers, but for the warmth and inspiration that Emma radiated. Despite her success, Jake's presence lingered in the back of her mind. She received occasional texts from him, filled with anger and manipulation. "You think you've won, but you'll regret this," he would write, trying to provoke her. Each time, Emma would screenshot the messages and add them to her evidence folder, reminding herself of the strength she had gained through this experience. One afternoon, while preparing for a big wedding order, Emma received a call from Sarah. "Emma, I wanted to update you on Jake's situation," Sarah said, her tone serious. "He's been trying to challenge the divorce settlement, claiming that he deserves a portion of your business." Emma felt a surge of anger. "He's still trying to take advantage of me? After everything?" she exclaimed, disbelief washing over her. "Yes, but don't worry. We have all the documentation to prove that your business was established before the marriage and that you maintained strict separation of finances," Sarah reassured her. "He doesn't have a leg to stand on." With Sarah's support, Emma felt empowered to continue her fight. She refused to let Jake's attempts to undermine her success affect her. Instead, she focused on her shop, pouring her heart into every arrangement and every customer interaction. As the months went by, Emma's business flourished. She hired new employees to help with the growing demand, and her online store began to gain traction. She was featured in local magazines, not just as a florist, but as a savvy businesswoman who had overcome adversity. Emma's story inspired others, and she began to receive messages from women who had faced similar challenges. One day, while setting up for a community event at her shop, Emma was surprised to see Amanda, Jake's sister, walk through the door. Amanda had always been kind to Emma, but their relationship had been strained since the divorce. "Emma, I wanted to apologize," Amanda said, her voice sincere. "I didn't believe you at first. I thought Jake was the victim, but after seeing how he's handled everything, I realized I was wrong." Emma felt a mix of emotions. "Thank you, Amanda. It means a lot to hear that," she replied, her heart softening. "I just want to move forward and focus on my business. I can see how hard you've worked. Your shop is amazing," Amanda said, glancing around at the vibrant displays. "I'd love to help out if you ever need an extra hand." As they chatted, Emma felt a sense of relief. It was nice to have support from someone who understood the situation. They exchanged contact information, and Emma felt hopeful about rebuilding that connection. Meanwhile, Jake's attempts to undermine Emma continued to backfire. His personal life had taken a downturn. He struggled to find stable work and had moved back in with their parents. Emma heard through mutual friends that he was still trying to date younger women, but his reputation had preceded him, and many were wary of getting involved. One evening, as Emma closed up the shop, she received a text from Sarah. The judge dismissed Jake's latest petition. "He's ordered to pay court costs, and he can't challenge the settlement again," Sarah informed her. Emma felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you, Sarah. This is such a relief," she replied, her heart lightening. She had fought hard for her independence, and now it felt like the universe was finally aligning in her favor. With each passing day, Emma grew stronger and more confident. She had transformed her pain into power, and her flower shop had become a symbol of her resilience. She was no longer defined by her past. She was building a future filled with hope and possibility. As the seasons changed, so did Emma's life. With the finality of the divorce behind her, she felt a renewed sense of freedom. The weight of Jake's betrayal had lifted, and she was ready to embrace new beginnings. Her flower shop, Petals and Blooms, had become a thriving business, and Emma was excited about the future. One sunny morning, Emma decided to host a community event at her shop. She wanted to celebrate her journey and thank the people who had supported her along the way. She planned a floral arrangement workshop, inviting customers to come in, learn, and create their own bouquets. The response was overwhelming, with people eager to participate. On the day of the event, the shop was filled with laughter and creativity. Emma guided the participants through the process of arranging flowers, sharing tips and tricks she had learned over the years. As she watched the joy on their faces, she felt a sense of fulfillment. This was what she had always dreamed of, creating a space where people could come together, share stories, and find beauty in the little things. Among the attendees was a familiar face, Amanda. She had come to support Emma and was eager to learn more about floral design. As they worked side by side, Emma felt a genuine connection growing between them. They shared stories, laughter, and even a few tears as they discussed their experiences with Jake. "I never realized how much he had affected you until now," Amanda admitted, her voice filled with empathy. "I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself." "Thank you, Amanda. It means a lot to have your support," Emma replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I'm just trying to focus on what makes me happy." As the workshop came to an end, Emma felt a sense of accomplishment. The participants left with beautiful bouquets and smiles on their faces, and Emma knew she had made a positive impact on their lives. The event had not only strengthened her bond with the community, but also solidified her place as a respected business owner. In the following weeks, Emma continued to host workshops and events, each one more successful than the last. She began to gain recognition in the local media, and her story of resilience resonated with many. Emma was invited to speak at a women's empowerment conference, where she shared her journey of overcoming adversity and finding strength in herself. Standing on stage, Emma felt a rush of nerves, but as she looked out at the audience, she saw faces filled with encouragement. "I want to remind you all that it's never too late to reclaim your life," she said, her voice steady. "No matter what challenges you face, you have the power to rise above them." The applause that followed was deafening, and Emma felt a sense of pride wash over her. She was no longer just a victim of her circumstances. She was a survivor, a warrior, and an inspiration to others. As her business continued to flourish, Emma also found herself opening up to the idea of love again. She had spent so long healing and focusing on herself that the thought of dating felt both exciting and daunting. One evening, while attending a local charity event, she met a kind-hearted man named David. He was charming, with a warm smile and a genuine interest in her work. They struck up a conversation, and Emma found herself laughing and enjoying his company. David was supportive and respectful, and he listened intently as she shared her story. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt a spark of connection that she hadn't anticipated. As their relationship blossomed, Emma took things slow. She was cautious, wanting to ensure that she was ready to open her heart again. David respected her boundaries and encouraged her to take her time. They enjoyed simple dates, exploring the local farmers market, and sharing meals at cozy restaurants. With each passing day, Emma felt more confident in her ability to love and be loved. She had learned to trust herself again, and she was excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. The journey of healing had been long and challenging, but it had also been transformative. Emma's life was no longer defined by her past. It was filled with hope, love, and new beginnings. She had built a life that reflected her strength and resilience, and she was ready to embrace whatever the future held. As the year drew to a close, Emma reflected on her journey. The challenges she had faced seemed like distant memories, overshadowed by the incredible growth she had experienced. Her flower shop, Petals and Blooms, had become a beloved fixture in the community, and she had built a life filled with purpose and joy. With the holiday season approaching, Emma decided to host a special event at her shop. She wanted to create a festive atmosphere where people could come together to celebrate love, friendship, and new beginnings. She planned a holiday open house, complete with seasonal floral arrangements, hot cocoa, and a cozy ambiance. The day of the event arrived, and the shop was beautifully decorated with twinkling lights and vibrant holiday flowers. Emma felt a sense of excitement as she welcomed customers and friends into her space. The warmth and laughter that filled the shop were a testament to the community she had built. As the evening progressed, Emma noticed David mingling with the guests, effortlessly engaging everyone with his charm. She felt a sense of gratitude for having him in her life. He had been a steady source of support, encouraging her to pursue her dreams and reminding her of her worth. Later in the evening, as the crowd began to thin, David took Emma aside. "I've been thinking a lot about us," he said, his eyes sincere. "I admire your strength and everything you've accomplished. I want you to know that I'm here for you no matter what." Emma felt her heart swell with emotion. "Thank you, David. You've brought so much joy into my life, and I appreciate your patience and understanding," she replied, her voice soft. "I'm still learning to navigate this new chapter, but I'm excited about where we're headed." As they stood together, surrounded by the remnants of the evening's festivities, David took Emma's hand. "I want to be a part of your journey, Emma. I believe in you and your dreams," he said, his voice filled with warmth. In that moment, Emma realized how far she had come. She had transformed her pain into purpose, and now she was ready to embrace love again. With David by her side, she felt empowered to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the new year approached, Emma set her intentions for the future. She wanted to continue growing her business, expanding her workshops, and perhaps even exploring new avenues in floral design. She dreamed of opening a second location and sharing her passion with even more people. On New Year's Eve, Emma and David attended a local celebration. As the clock struck midnight, they stood together, surrounded by friends and loved ones. Emma felt a sense of hope and excitement for the future. She raised her glass, looking around at the faces of those who had supported her through thick and thin. "To new beginnings and endless possibilities," she toasted, her heart full. As the fireworks lit up the night sky, Emma felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She had faced her fears, rebuilt her life, and found love again. The journey had not been easy, but it had shaped her into the woman she was today, strong, resilient, and ready to embrace whatever came next. With David by her side and her flower shop thriving, Emma knew that the future was bright. She was no longer defined by her past. She was a woman who had reclaimed her life, and she was excited to see where her journey would take her.